Hi, Peggy Bellar of the Catskill Dream Team. Do you love making videos? I know I don't, but I wanted to share some exciting changes that are happening in the real estate industry, so let me give it a whirl. The changes I'm referring to specifically are relating to commissions and transparency. How does a listing agent get paid? How does a buyer's agent get paid? And as these changes evolve, I fully think that we are going to see more competition, more innovation, more flexibility, and maybe even agents working in completely different ways and different models than they had in the past in terms of their compensation. But, ooh, is it confusing, right? Fact. Commissions have always been negotiable. It's a fact. But it's also a fact that a lot of people did not understand this. Smart, savvy, educated consumers simply didn't understand or were misled to not understand that commissions are negotiable. And another fact is that I think this applies to even more consumers. A lot of them did not realize that when they paid the listing commission, part of that was being used to also pay the buyer's agent commission. And as a result of these lawsuits, the National Association of Realtors is attempting to settle for over $4 million. It's a lot of money. And as part of the settlement, they're asking that from here on out, we make it very, very clear to sellers that they are under no obligation to pay a buyer's agent commission. And another part of the settlement that I think is going to be a really big change is that if a buyer wants to work with a buyer's agent, they are going to have to sign a contract that clearly explains how they are being compensated. It's sort of like when I sign with a seller a listing contract, it explains how I am compensated. So it makes sense that both sides would want to do that. And a lot of good buyer's agents are already doing it. But how is this going to work right now? You want to list your house right now in this kind of transitional market. I mean, can you pay a buyer's agent commission just like was very common practice in the past? Absolutely, you can. Are you obligated to do so? Absolutely not. And is there some sort of a hybrid model that might make better sense? I think so. And I'm going to try to explain it to you. The way I see this is that going forward, we're going to see 3 negotiations take place on every deal. The first negotiation is going to be with your listing agent. You're going to negotiate their commission and their services, photography, video, drone, 3D tours, marketing, advertising, open houses, all the things that good listing agents do. But the second part of the negotiation, and this is an interesting one because it's a little different, is you're going to negotiate whether or not you are going to pay the buyer's agent commission. I would think that right now you'd be very wise to go ahead and offer 0 commission upfront, but allowing the agents to ask for an offer of compensation when they submit their clients' offers. And I think it can really benefit you. We'll go more into that a little bit later. And then the third negotiation will be on the sale price of your home. So let me break it down just a tiny bit more. When I think about offers as they come in a house, there's always going to be some moving parts. You're going to have, obviously, part is going to be the price. You want to get a good price. Another part is it cash or is it a conventional mortgage? Another moving part might be maybe you want 2 months to stay in your house longer, or maybe you want to sell the furniture. There's always a lot of different pieces that come together to make a whole that you get to figure out which deal is best for you. Now I see one more element being added, and that is buyer compensation. So if you're offering 0 compensation up front, the buyer's agents are going to submit their clients' offers along with a request for compensation. For sure, they'll be doing that. But maybe one is asking for 1%. Maybe one is asking for 3%. Maybe you just have a buyer coming directly with no agent involved at all. Or maybe you have a buyer who is working with an agent that's charging a flat fee. So there's going to be a lot of different models, and you'll take all the different parts and figure out which one's going to put the most money in your pocket and make your life the easiest too as you go through the sale. So I know you're thinking, I may be afraid to rock the boat, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of agents really putting pressure on you, like, stick with the old-fashioned model. This has worked for 100 years. There's no reason to change it. But I can tell you right now, change is coming, and that change is only going to benefit the buyers and sellers for sure. And I want to be clear. I think buyer's agents are super important. I really have always encouraged people to get buyer's agents. So not knocking the buyer's agents, but it's just going to be some different models that we're looking at. Now, because it's new, yes, there are pros and cons. And I've written out a list, so I'm actually going to consult my list and tell you what I see as truly as the pros and cons of being radical and trying this new idea. Pros. And the biggest one, for sure, is the potential savings. By not automatically offering your buyer's agent commission, like I said, and they're going to submit their request, you could literally save thousands of dollars in commission. It's going to give you the negotiating power, the flexibility to look at the entire offer, all the offers, and value it on their own merits. But there's some cons. I guess the biggest one could potentially be people don't want to show the property if they have this feeling that they're going to have to negotiate for their own commissions. And it's against the law, but I think it probably will happen in some cases, but not that many. And I guess the biggest con that I see is that it does make for more complex negotiations. It might take a little longer to get your deal together, but negotiations are always complicated. I mean, we've been dealing with multiple offers and escalation clauses and lots of moving parts. This is tossing one more moving part into the mix, but at a really great benefit to you. So in terms of your being concerned that maybe, the buyers won't see your property, or maybe the buyer's agents aren't going to show your property, or, something like that. I think it's legitimate concern, except nowadays, if a buyer wants to see a property, they're not waiting on an agent to, say like, oh, this new one came online. They're consulting their phone right here. They have alerts set. The minute your house goes up in Roxbury or Margaretville or wherever you're selling it, it's going to ding them on their phone, the ones that are actively looking. And, if they can't find someone to help them, believe you me, they will come to the listing agent directly. So I think that that's a concern that doesn't have really any serious legs. So a lot of information to absorb. I'm sure you're curious. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I know I've been thinking about this pretty much nonstop. I would love to go over it in more detail with you, maybe even give you a case study on like one house and the different scenarios that could happen. So, DM me, call me, text me. I'd love to chat more and answer any and all your questions. But I think it's an exciting time for everyone. And I think change is good. Ciao.